Black people are going to save America from Joe Biden.
You think so? Okay.
We got tricked. He's weakened at Bernie's, bro. You literally re-upped on the most racist practice in America, gun control, as the black people started buying more guns than ever. You said, we're going to send you to jail for 10 years. Fortunately, the Supreme Court was like, what? You are bugging. You speak to black people as if you literally own them. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. What type of fucking... It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's the level of entitlement and audacity. Mind you, you're the same guy that crafted the criminal legislation, to send many of these black men to jail in the first place. Black people are going to have to save America from Joe Biden.
Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's your man Wise, back at it again. Today I'm checking out another video from the African Diaspora News Channel. Trump may win the most black votes and more than any other Republican presidential candidate in history. The numbers are out there. The polls are saying that he could potentially take on somewhere between 23 to 27% of the polls, somewhere in that realm. We'll just say 20 to 30% of the black vote he could take. And if that happened, it would be a butt whooping to the 50th power. It would be a landslide in a landslide presidential election like we've never seen before in U.S. history. This could be a beatdown of epic proportion. Please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Drop me a comment down below. I appreciate all the love and support. And the best way to get a hold of me is at my email address, askwise@gmail.com. That's the best way. And before we get into this video, we must have a word from our sponsor, Young G's Barbecue Sauce.
There are plenty of things to be grateful for this time of year. Family, friends, good company, and good eats. That's right, we'd like to extend our gratitude for making us a part of this great American holiday. Young G's Barbecue Sauce. Thank you, America. That's right.
Get you some Young G's Barbecue Sauce today. Link down in the description box below. Low sodium, it's gluten-free, and it has absolutely no high fructose corn syrup. Please support a service-disabled, veteran-owned organization, Young G's Barbecue Sauce. Link in the description box below. Without further ado, let me slide the video in. Let go.
Now, the conversation that I'm about to have with you, I've kind of had it before.
I love this look right here. She hadn't even got started. I like the afro. I hope that's appropriate, but I do like the afro. It looks nice. We need to see more of that, ladies. We need to get back to the naturals.
But I want to give it more of an explanation if I can. Now, I also want to say at the top of this, some of y'all ain't gonna like what I got to say. Now, it's not to make you mad, it's to make you think. All right, let's give it a go. Okay, so it has been said that former President Donald Trump is on track to get the most black votes in the history of the United States. Yes, okay? Now, y'all know that he ran and won for the presidency of the United States in 2016, and it is said that he got about 8% of the black vote, which was okay, right? Now, when he ran in 2020 and lost against that of the now president, Joe Biden, it said he got about 12% of the vote. So he did a little bit better. Now,
wait, I think I missed that right there. So they said that he got more the second time and lost. Can somebody please tell me how that happened? Is it a situation where those that were considered independents, they voted for Biden over Donald Trump? Is that what happened?
Of course, he's running again this year, 2024, to regain the position of president of the United States. And it is said that he could get anywhere between, because the numbers are kind of all over the place, right? But he can get anywhere between 14 and 30% of the black vote, which would be a game changer.
Yes,
okay? And it's just it's a game changer, right? And it would be historical if he did get that much. Now, I know just from the people that I speak to, people I know on a personal level, quite a few black people said that they are thinking very strongly about voting for that of President or former President Donald Trump, I should say. Now, some people are probably saying, but how? Why? He's facing over 90 court cases. And, potentially he could be locked up. I doubt it. But let's say potentially he could be, right? So a lot of people say he's a criminal. How could you do it? Well, I think that's the conversation we need to have. Why is it that somebody like President Donald Trump could unseat that of President Joe Biden? Well, because on the other side of that, Joe Biden and Kamala, because remember, they put them together as if they're sharing the Oval Office. I don't know. They have totally neglected black people. Now, I know it's not unusual for the Democratic Party to neglect black people. And let's have the other side of the conversation. It's not unusual.
No, it's not unusual for the Democrat Party to neglect black people. Hell, they've been neglecting black people for 60 daggone years. So it's not unusual. This is just the status quo. A lot of folks thought back in 2008 and then again in 2012, because people said 2008, well, Barack Obama is going to do it. And then for 4 years, when they had the House and the daggone Senate, or maybe it was vice versa. Maybe it was the 12 when they had it. No, it was 2008. They had the House and the daggone Senate, and he did absolutely nothing for black folks. Specifically, because that's what a lot of folks are looking for. A lot of black folks are looking for, bills, tangibles, specifically for the same way he gave specific tangibles for the LGBT community, what do they call it? DACA and so forth and so on for illegal immigrants. So if y'all recall, back in, the Obama administration, they started all this stuff with the illegal immigrants, as far as like pushing them to, giving these people an opportunity to go to school for free, as well, or college for free, as well as the opportunity for citizenship, even though they did come over here illegally and didn't go through the normal naturalized citizenship process as anybody else that comes over here from anywhere else would have to go through. It started in the Obama administration, and I know a lot of folks that was like, he didn't have the ability. They fought tooth and nail for everything that he did. So then I turn around and I ask, well, name the one bill, name the one policy that he tried to get across that didn't pass. Matter of fact, how about that? I know he didn't get anything accomplished, but name the one thing that he attempted to do that didn't make it. No crickets. No one can answer that question because there isn't one. There isn't any. I'm just saying.
Usual for the Republicans to neglect black people either. But again, come on, let's put on our thinking cap. I'm going to put mine over my afro. Is it the Republicans or is it the Democrats that knock on the doors of black people and say, hey, come on and vote for us? Mm-hmm. Y'all know the answer to that. It's the Democrats.
They ain't just knocking on doors either. They knocking on doors. They at your churches. They're at your rec centers. They're at all the senior citizen and old folk homes. But they only come around this time of the election process. Once they got your vote, you won't hear from them again. But during this time, this is when they're at your church. Out there sitting next to the pastor, acting like they know the words to your favorite gospel song. I'm just saying. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just saying.
Because we, as Dr. Claude Anderson says, are the only group of people that vote as a block for our oppression. That means that we vote as a block. The majority of black voters vote for the Democrats. So that it's just logic, right? It's not emotions, It's logic.
And the crazy thing is, it wouldn't be a big deal if you're voting as a block with the collective idea of saying, okay, hey, this is what we want. We're voting as a block. If you give X, Y, and Z, or promise that you are going to get this policy, implemented as a block, we'll vote. But it makes absolutely no sense that black folks for decades have been voting in a block, 90+% for a party that could give two craps about you, and they have no intent ever of doing anything for you. And the only thing that they do is give you some tokenism. And then they use those people, the tokens, they use those people against you. See New York, Mayor Eric Adams. See Chicago, Mayor Brandon Johnson. Come on now. That's what they do. They give you the token, and then they make that person, they use that person against you. That's almost like, back during, slavery times when they would give they would make a black person, they make another slave be the one dishing out all the whippings. I'm just saying, the Democrat Party has not changed. They are still doing the same practices that they were doing way back in the day. They're just a little more sophisticated about it nowadays.
So, again, some of y'all might want to know, why is it that black people want to vote for Trump? He's a horrible person. All right. I would grant you that he's not a great person. But again, is Biden a great person?
No.
Think about it.
And I'll say this, people say, why you want to vote for Trump? Let's get off of the person and let's just look at the policies. When you look at the fact that, let me go down the list real quick. I got my notes. When you look down, being at lowest interest rates in U.S. history, more black folks, more people in general just bought homes during that time frame. More money given to HBCU, something that was codified in the law so they don't have to come back every year with their hat in hand. I wish I had my hat here. With their hat in hand saying, please, we need some funding. They have to come every year. He actually put it in there to where they don't have to come back to the White House or to Congress every year and ask for $1. The opportunity zones, over 8,000 communities, benefited from having those opportunity zones. Now they're there. You still got to actually go do something to, reap the benefit. But again, it goes back to the word as well. Faith without works is dead. So if you ain't willing to put the work in, there ain't nothing out there for you anyway. I'm just saying, gas was lower. Jobs were plentiful. More black businesses were started during that time frame. I'm just saying, and there's some more things out on the list. I'm sure you guys will let me know down in the comment section. You guys are really good at that, and I appreciate it. Because other folks, I need to see it, but there's some other people that need to see it as well. Thank you.
Just think about it. Who has spent the most time in Washington? This is not something I'm making up. You can go Google this. It's Joe Biden, right? He was a senator, vice president, and now the president. As a senator, he had the power to draft up legislation, and he did. Y'all remember he says, I am the author of every major and minor crime bill since 1986. These aren't Demetrius facts. Those are his. They came out of his mouth.
Yep. He told us all that. He told us that. I'm just saying, she ain't lying.
You could go look and see what he did, right? He was the one that made the difference between powder, cocaine, and crack rock, right? If you did the powder stuff, which is considered to be where people with a little bit of money could afford, right? And y'all know which people I'm talking about. It's the color of the powder. They got, you need rehab and it's a horrible thing. But if you had the rocks, then you went upstate. You got dealt with very adversely, right?
So make this make sense. So if you had a less pure form of the drug, you got less time rehab. If you had less pure form of the drug, you got the book thrown at you. He told you if you had the size of a nickel, it was an automatic 5 years. If you had one piece of crack, size of a nickel. Now we're talking about when they would test it, typically we're talking about something that piece of rock or crack rock, we're talking maybe 50% coke or so. Most of it is baking soda and cut with some other things. I'm not saying this because I know, I'm just saying this because I've done some research, but if you actually had the full, like the powder form, typically that probably wasn't even, 100%. It had some cut in it as well, but it typically would be, closer to pure, probably maybe 80%, 90% in some cases. You'd probably kill yourself if you had 100% pure. Just saying. Not saying because I know. I'm just saying these are things that I've heard. I mean, it's not a lie. These things did happen.
These aren't my facts. These are facts. And Joe Biden has proudly said that he was the one that did that. Now you think about that of, former President Donald Trump. What legislation did he enact that targeted black people? I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait.
There isn't one. Matter of fact, something I didn't mention earlier, the First Step Act actually helped to, it didn't get rid of the 94 crime bill, but it definitely, dampened some of those, what do you call it? I guess policies, or reform certain things within the 94 crime bill, such as the sentencing reform, such as the actual prison reform, where, when you start talking about sentences, the 5 years for one nickel-sized piece of crack rock is insane. So right then and there, that's something that this First Step Act helped to alleviate. Obviously, it helped also free a number of people that were arrested or in prison or incarcerated for non-violent drug acts. And then when you look at the prison reform aspect of things, when you start talking about, just improving the conditions, you had women, going to prison, pregnant, giving birth, chained up and everything, just some real inhumane, situations. I understand, you do the crime, you should do the time. I am a 100% proponent in that. You do the crime, you should do the time. But I do think that, things should be somewhat humane to an extent, and a woman, in a hospital chained up while she's giving birth, while some guard is watching her hoo-ha while she does this. I think we can, the likelihood of that lady getting up and running up out of there is slim. I'm not saying that, there should be no cops there, but I'm just saying, come on now.
Now, I know it's tight, but it's right, Now, some people are probably saying, oh, well, he put the Supreme Court, the judges in the Supreme Court. Ain't that what president's supposed to do?
That's exactly what they're supposed to do.
Right? Aren't they supposed to fill it? Seat somebody in there who thinks like them? Isn't that what they're supposed to do? Didn't Obama do it? And other presidents, then they put, people in those seats that think like them? So Trump had the opportunity to do it, and he did it.
Yep. And thank God for that, because had he not did it and had some other president, Obama, put Supreme Court justices in there, we would have more Ketanji Brown Jacksons. Y'all go do your research on that. I'm not even going to get on her right now. But think about what Maj Touré said at the beginning. Gun laws would be so strict right now because if we did not have the current Supreme Court justices in there, there are certain states, they would be restricting our Second Amendment rights right now. Those rights would be restricted right now all across the country because that's what they wanted to do. And fortunately, Trump put those Supreme Court justices in there. The other thing, those Supreme Court justices, how many lives did they save? How many babies' lives did they save by kicking back Roe v. Wade and kicking that back down to the states? How many lives were saved? Countless lives were saved just off of that right there. So those two things, man, thankfully he was able to implement and put in place the Supreme Court justices, in there that he did.
Where is the crime in that? Now, I'm not saying that the Supreme Court justices that are there now are great people. I'm not saying that, but he did what he was supposed to do. Okay, so I know some people thinking about the whole little judge situation. Okay, that could have some effect, but I'm talking about writing legislation that harmed black people. Now, in my mind, I heard somebody say, well, when he was in New York, and I also want to say this is not me caping for that of Donald Trump, But I'm trying to explain to people as to why he may look a little bit more favorable in the eyes of black people. I just want to break it down. When he was in New York, when the Central Park 5 situation was going on, he did take out that giant ad advocating for the death penalty. Horrible person for doing that. Okay? But let me ask y'all this, because y'all like to bring that up, and you should. I think it matters. Why don't you all ever give the conversation that the prosecutor that went after those innocent black and brown boys, why don't y'all ever talk about Linda Farenstein? That was her name, and everybody.
Linda Farenstein did damage to those youngins. And the one thing I will say is during that time frame, we didn't live in a social media era. So the only way you got news during that time frame was TV and newspaper. And what the TV and the newspaper fed most of the citizens out there, they were fed and force fed these youngins. They confessed to their crime. And when you hear how, how horrific the crime was, I would assume that anybody, a lot of folks that lived up in New York, regardless of your race, when they heard what happened and heard that these youngins confessed to the crime, I bet there was a lot of people that had similar feelings to Donald Trump. He just had the money and the funds and the resources to get an ad put out there. Should he have done it, got involved with that? Probably not. I'm going to say, I'm going to say that citizens should probably just stay out of those types of situations and let the judicial system work itself out. They really should. And thankfully, when these guys have been exonerated at this point, they have been exonerated at this point. And it's been out there that they were basically forced and coerced to admit to a crime that they say they didn't commit. And they have since been exonerated, and they've been, compensated very well, at this point. And that's the one thing I do agree. Donald Trump, as a citizen, probably should have just stayed out of that. You can have your feelings, but don't put yourself out there. But at the same time, he was also, a mainstream figure during that time, But again, this lady, Linda Farenstein, you rarely hear the smoke for her. And she was the one that actually put him in jail. All 5 of those guys. She was the one that actually put him in jail. It's rare you hear the smoke for her. But you hear a lot of the smoke for Donald Trump as a citizen who heard the story, and the same story that every other citizen up there in New York heard, and how atrocious and how horrific the crime was that happened to this lady. When you hear the story, and again, we don't live in a social media era. We didn't have a lot of independent media or independent, news outlets. You really had the mainstream local newspapers, and you had the TV. And typically during that time frame, what they gave you, you took it for face value as truth. We don't feel like that today in 2024, but during that time frame, I can't remember the year, 1993, 94, that people definitely felt like, hey, if it's on the news, it's real. If it makes the news, if the news say it, it's real, it's truthful. We don't feel like that today, but people definitely felt like that then. I'm just saying.
Else, they were Democrats. In fact, Miss Linda donated to the campaigns of President Obama, Hillary Clinton, Amy Klobuchar, and Elizabeth Warren, just to name a few. She donated money to their campaigns. They're all Democrats. Now, those Democrats knew what Linda did.
Yep.
They knew what she did, that she sent those boys upstate unfairly, unjustly. They know that she put cases on them that they did not deserve, but they took money from her. Why don't y'all ever have a conversation about that?
Yeah. No smoke for any of those people she just named. No smoke for any of them. And they actually took money and knew what she did. Come on now.
Listen, I'm asking logical questions. And so, again, for those of y'all who want to know why Trump looks favorable, well, if you, as some of y'all like to say, we got to vote for the lesser 2 evils. If you are truly doing the math and voting for the lesser 2 evils, one is going to be less evil than the other, since y'all like to do that whole dichotomy, right? And that's going to be that Trump is less evil. I'm not saying he ain't evil. Because as Malcolm X said, voting for evil is still choosing evil, right? But since we go on with what a lot of people say, and then you look at that of President Joe Biden's record, I would think he is more evil, especially when it comes to black people. And it's still exacting evil upon black people, especially with the open border policies. When migrants come over here, that don't help black people. That hurts black people, right? We still ain't got our money, our reparations. We still ain't got that.
That's not.
We don't have an anti-hate crime bill, but the Asians got one.
That should
I
happen.
understand the Jewish community, they might be getting one too. Black people, who is the most harmed individual in the United States of America, per that of FBI statistics, we don't have a hate crime bill. So y'all are asking black people to continue to go to the booth and vote for more of nothing. So that's why President Donald Trump, or former President Donald Trump, looks a lot better to black people. And some black people said, hey, I've made more money under Trump. Now, you can argue with them, not me. I'm just telling you what they said. So anyway, just think about that. Let's move emotions out of it, and let's start thinking about things before we vote blue no matter who. And think about what you're saying before you say it. If you can do that for me.
Absolutely.
But anyway,
let's get out of here. That's the truth, man. She's 100% right there. Any other thing too, when you look at financially, a lot of people said, hey, they made more money, under Trump. Definitely. When you look at what's going on right now, and you look at the amount of layoffs that's happened, 23, 22, 23, hundreds of thousands of people were laid off. Surprisingly, it's not something that's been broadcasted by mainstream media. There's been hundreds of thousands of people have been laid off and lost their jobs. Now, Biden will say the economy's doing well, but if you're a very wealthy person, if you already got money, a lot of time, those people, they are doing well. If you already had money in this situation, yeah, you could look at them and say, you know what, things are doing well. But those of us that are, down here in the middle class, those of us that are, on the poorer side of things, can you honestly say that things are better? That just goes to let you know that they're not actually talking to regular, normal, middle class, working class Americans. They're just not. I'm just saying. Now, the one thing I will say, and I do agree with her, I don't necessarily agree with her on reparations. I'm not going to get into that topic right now because that's a topic for another day. And it's just, it would be a longer video if I was to get into that. But I do think we have an Asian hate crime bill. I think we should have a Latino hate crime bill for citizens. And I think we should definitely have, and we should have had a, black hate crime bill. And really and truly, if anybody is any kind of crime, that's considered a hate crime, whether it's based on religion, for Christians or Jews or Muslims, if it's based on race, blacks, Asians, Hispanics, even other white people, if there's any kind of hate crime going on out there, they should be prosecuted to the fullest extent. And we should have laws that protect and govern appropriately. We should. And the crazy thing is that, okay, so there's an Asian hate crime bill, but there's not a black hate crime bill, and there's not a Jewish hate crime bill, and there's not a Muslim hate crime bill. The list could go on with that. We should just have, really and truly, we should just have a blanket hate crime bill that basically covers every American citizen. If you've been attacked wrongly, harmed in any kind of shape, way, and they can prove that it was a hate crime, it shouldn't even, honestly, I don't even think we should put a label on it. If you are practicing in, doing hate crimes, or you commit a crime and it comes out that it's a hate crime, you should be prosecuted under the hate crime law. I don't understand why that's happening. Why we don't have that as just a blanket. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, man. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Drop me a comment down below. America first. Keep God first in your life, man. God bless each and every one of you guys. And I'm going to catch up with y'all next time. We out. Peace.